Hey guys, it's Shakira. Welcome back to my channel, and today's video is actually long overdue. We're going to be talking about my vagina. Yes, I know that in my bee sting video I told you all that I used to suffer from EV and yeast infections, like chronic, like every month, like maybe twice a month sometimes, and it was really hard to deal with. Go ahead and grab a piece of paper and a pen so that you can write some things down, and let's get started. My issues began about the age 23, 24, and they first started off by being yeast infections, and a lot of women have had them. Some women have not. The first time that I had one, it was itchy and red, and itchy, red, uncomfortable, and I just knew something was not right. So of course the doctor prescribed oral diclofenac. And I took that several times. And when I started to get pissed off about going to the doctor and nobody telling me anything that was going to solve the issue for good, I started to do the whole Monistat thing. And I was doing the Monistat, gosh, like every month. And especially after my menstrual cycle, after the pH in my vagina changed during intimate contact or my period, I had an issue. So after the issue reoccurring over time, I was like, F it, let me just have this like on deck. Let me have like 2 boxes on deck so that when an issue came about, I don't have to run to the store. So that's how bad it got. I always had Monistat on hand, and it just became really, really depressing, and it became really hard to deal with, because if you deal with this, you know that you don't want to be intimate, and your life revolves around solving this issue, and not knowing what the issue is was very frustrating for me. I asked the doctors, what's going on? Why does this keep happening? Nobody had an answer for me. And so then later on, maybe a year or two later, my body decided that it was time for the chronic BV. And so I dealt with that, and the doctors gave me Metrogel, and I think I was also given a pill or of some sort, basically antibiotics, and then the Monistat worked for that as well. So eventually I said to myself that this is not cool. Like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I don't want to have to deal with this issue. So I went to my last doctor's appointment where I addressed this issue. I asked the doctor straight up, like, why do I continue to have this issue? And she, again, did not have any answers for me. But she is the first person that told me that we do not need to be using Summer's Eve and douching and things like that. That actually helps to make things worse. So I want to say that if you're dealing with this, if you have a scent that is not your natural scent, and we women know what's a natural scent for us, and the natural scent, and it is not a fisherman's wharf. Like, you should not smell like fish. You should have it should be a pleasant scent, but should not be so pungent that it like punches you in the face. Using anything to cover it up is going to make things worse. And listen, I get it. Like, you are desperate for something to work. You want something to cover up that smell that is not pleasant if you have a chronic BV, or you want to use whatever is going to soothe your yeast infection. But what happened with me, which I'm sure is happening with you and hundreds of thousands of women out there, because listen, I Googled this stuff so much and realized, like, wow, this is a chronic issue for a lot of people. I'm not alone, which is a little comforting for me, but at the same time, it's like, damn, what is everybody doing that is causing these issues? And so without going too far deep into it, the food that we eat is a part of the problem, but we'll go into that a little later. But anyway, if you're having issues with your scent, take the time right now to figure out why. Now is not the time to be douching and spraying and trying to smell like a bouquet of roses, when really you're trying to cover up the fact that things just are not cool down there right now. Figure out what's going on. Stop putting a Band-Aid on it. Stop taking those antibiotics. Stop washing. I saw somebody recommend, or not even recommend, because I know that YouTube channels are, it's our little space to give our advice. But a lot of people give advice about things they have absolutely no knowledge on. So I'm not sitting up here saying I am a complete expert in, fixing vagina issues. However, I can tell you that I have had the experience with myself, my personal experience with friends that have experienced similar issues, and I recommend certain things and it works for them. So that is simply what YouTube is. But when I see people recommend things that are full of chemicals to put on, around, or in their bodies, it's like, and who told you that was okay? Information, we can Google anything, we can Google any chemical, we can Google any product, and we can learn exactly what is in that product. So I encourage you to do that. And furthermore, let me add that when you're using Monistat, or in my case, when I was using Monistat and orodiflucan and antibiotics, your body is building up a defense. Like those pills are designed to go and attack the problem, but not go and attack the core issue. So if my core issue is my diet is crap, after the antibiotic clears up the infection, it's going to come back in some way, form, or fashion. And also a really bad thing about those creams that we stick up our vaginas is that it's chemicals, it's chemicals, it's chemicals. So using pills and creams and things like that, it builds, our body begins to build up a shield, and the bacteria, the infection, the virus, whatever's going on inside of us continues to grow and continues to become stronger and stronger and stronger until antibiotics don't work anymore, until, you know, it just continues to get worse. It's like it comes back with a vengeance. And so again, at the age of 26, did my last round of Metrogel, and the problem came back again. And luckily, I was introduced to IIN, which is the nutrition school that I went to. Doors of the holistic health community and healing opened up, and I was so excited because of course I had been doing all this stuff to no avail, and I was just ready for something new. But before we go down that road about, you know, what I did, because I actually made a list, you know, in my notes of everything that I did, because I did so much. And we'll start by saying that just because something is a holistic treatment does not mean that it's going to work, and it does not mean that it's good for you, because the thing to remember is that we are all different. We have a different chemical makeup. One thing that works for you may not work for her or for me. And so that was my misunderstanding out the gate. I just felt like, whoa, this is natural, so everything's gonna work. I was sadly mistaken. And so with that said, it's very important that you understand you should not be taking like 5 different herbal supplements and feeling like, well, why isn't anything working? Well, first of all, you need to maybe choose 2, maybe choose 2, and then do a health audit. How do I feel? What are my symptoms like? You know, go down the line. Do I feel tired? Do I feel like my cycle, my body is recalibrating on its own? Don't use a whole bunch of things thinking that one of them, like, you're basically, what I'm trying to say is that you're not going to know which one is actually working magic. So use 1 to 2 at a time only. Don't go crazy here. You have to take your time with this. And listen, I get it. You want it to be done and over with, the same way when I was using the Monistat and the sprays and stuff. But you have to take your time with this. This is just like any illness. This is the same way I would approach anything. Like, we have to take our time and figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work. So don't buy 10 different, you know, holistic remedies thinking that it's going to save the day, because you're going to be sadly mistaken. The second thing I realized is that I need to stop expecting this issue to occur every month. Is that realistic? Is it hard to do sometimes for some people? Yes, because it was hard for me to say to myself, I'm healthy, I'm well, I'm, you know, all that stuff, the positive thinking stuff that lots of people don't want to hear when they're dealing with stuff. Like, honestly, it happens a lot, especially, you know, in fitness. I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, if you continue to say you can't, then you won't. Like, say, you've got to convince yourself, because illness and chronic BV and Candida issues, that is an illness, and you have to attack it as such. You can't just think, oh, you know, whatever, I'm gonna just pop a pill and I'll be okay. You really have to figure out what's going on so that it doesn't become something bigger. So let's talk about what I use, the holistic remedies that I use. I'm gonna be looking down here at my notes because it is a lot. I use apple cider vinegar and water as a douche. On Amazon.com, they actually have a like a rubber douche set thingy that I was using, and I'll say my opinions for everything that I use until the end of the list because it's quite long. So I also use coconut oil as a douche. I melted it and I got it up there. Coconut oil and tea tree oil suppositories. Probiotics. Googling one day, I realized, oh, I need probiotics. And so I ordered some probiotics from Amazon. And in particular, this brand had a commenter or a reviewer who said that she would stick them up there. And, probiotics are pretty small. And that worked for a little while. But then I also had, I also got some yeast infection-like symptoms. So I was like, damn, this isn't working. And then, it worked for about 2 months and then it stopped working. So stopped using that. Let's see. I tried a Candida cleanse. Didn't work. Golden Seal didn't. I don't want to say it didn't work. It didn't work for that, but Golden Seal is really good for us. Colonics. So when I got my first colonic, that's when I realized that, holy, this is Candida. I actually saw the Candida come out of me. Yeah, it was kind of nasty, but also eye-opening for me because I then was able to realize, like, this is not only BV and yeast, this is Candida, which is an overgrowth of the good bacteria in our gut. So bam. So I began to identify certain things by doing certain things. And once I got to the coconut oil and tea tree suppositories and all it did was kind of mask the scent, I was so done and frustrated and irritated. I was just like, I just threw my hands up. All of those holistic treatments did not freaking work. And like I said, it had a lot to do with the fact that I was using so many at a time and didn't give one thing a chance to work before I said, okay, this is not working. One thing that did work was to check my diet. Was my diet horrible? No. But when you're dealing with illness, you have to realize that illness does not just show up and knock at your door like that. Like, it didn't knock at my door when I was 26 years old. It had been building up in my body, and then it manifested into something really awful by the time I was about 26. Something that was really taking a toll on me. And so what changed was my diet. Once I started eating more clean, more organic, more water, less processed food, then I started to see a change in my body. The next thing that worked was drinking lots of herbal tea, like green tea and chamomile and ginger tea and stuff like that. I'll list everything actually. And once I did that, once you start drinking more herbal tea, you start to boost your immune system. And before, I used to drink a lot of sugary lattes in the morning. My routine was to drop my kids off and get myself a latte, go for a run, and all that jazz. But Candida and yeast feed off of sugar and carbohydrates and bread. That does not mean that you should completely cut out carbohydrates. You have to identify what are the trigger carbohydrates. What is actually causing your issues. Don't just say, I'm going to go low carb, no carb. Like, you have to get away from the trends too. Even the Candida diet, even like all these diets, like, don't take bits and pieces from them, but don't completely dive into them. Just do your health audits. Apple cider vinegar does help. Don't douche with it, but I do recommend that you drink it warm, and chase it with some coconut oil. You're not only doing that for that issue, you want to boost your immune system so that your immune system can fight off things that might cause issues. The coconut oil we already talked about. Don't douche with it, but eat it after you have some apple cider vinegar and lemon water tea in the morning or in the evening. I actually saw really good results with that, but I would turn around and eat something that was not that good for me. So it's kind of like I was wasting my time. So don't be that girl. If you are going to do this, it doesn't have to be like a diet. I don't want you to feel like you're restricting yourself, and I don't want you to be miserable about it. But you do need to be intentional about what you're doing here. You need to get this problem under control so that you can go back to, living your life. Now, I will say that you don't have to 100% not ever eat or drink the things that you like to eat and drink. But you need to eliminate some things just to see what is causing these issues in your body. And then later on, once you have healed, you will be able to go back to, you know, eating things here and there that aren't so healthy for you. Last but not least, I have a recipe on this channel for turmeric and ginger shots, and really simple to make. And in fact, the first time I had turmeric, I noticed a change like that. And again, just like the apple cider vinegar and the lemon water with the coconut oil, I did not have my diet in check 100%. So therefore, a few days later, the unpleasant scent and feeling came back, and I was back at square one. So the key here is consistency. With all of this stuff that I just told you about, all of the tips that I told you about, and even the herbal remedies that I told you about, they're not bad for you. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't try them, but what I am saying is that you should take the time to test 1 or 2 at a time, not 10 at a time, because you're not going to know what is helping and what is hurting. But the turmeric and ginger, again, is going to help boost your immune system, and it's going to help clear some things out, antibacterial, antiviral, all that stuff. So I will link the video to this video, and I will also have a blog post for you. I will try to go really, really detailed and remain really transparent with you. And if you have questions, please feel free to ask me. I know this was a lot of information, so send your questions my way. But as always, I really appreciate you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.